full moon generally. Almost my favorite part of any religious observance is always story time. So, and as we all know, all good stories begin with once upon a time. So once upon a time, long ago, on the full moon, people would come from villages and compounds and homes, and they would travel by the light of the silvery full moon to go meet with the teacher and the sangha. And the full moon makes these roads and these dark forest ways, these little paths, safe from predators, from bandits, even from just twisting your foot on a route that you wouldn't normally see, but you can see in the light of the full moon. It makes it safe to bring children or elderly or injured people. And so similarly, the full moon, the silvery light of awareness, makes the pathways of the heart and the dark places of the heart safe to travel and see what is there and to know it. So the observance of the full moon was ancient by the time it reached the Buddha, and the Buddha was happy to use it. It was common to Hindus and Jains and religious people of all denominations in India of 2,600 years ago. And so following that tradition, and even more anciently, think of our Stone Age ancestors following the moon and the lunar cycles and the fertility of animals that they had to follow and hunt, or which plants were coming ripe and could be found. And if they lived in a very hot place like the savannah, traveling by night by the light of the moon is a good way to travel so you don't get exhausted from the sun. So following their example and the example of the Buddha and his students, we gather together on the full moon to practice in safety and support and kindness. And if you aren't already, I invite you to find a comfortable way of sitting. And if you are new to seated meditation, all that really means is find a way that you can sit where it's basically your skeleton doing the work. If you're too hunched over, then maybe your abs, your back are, doing all the work, or if you're holding yourself up with an arm. All of that kind of background musculoskeletal nervous system work just creates a lot of distraction. So your bones are so nicely designed that for the most part you can find a way of sitting where your feet, shins, knees, sit bones, spine are all holding you very nicely. And you're able to sit in such a way that you can relax and still be alert and upright. Imagining like a lump of soft clay, fixed and stable, but pliable and soft. And before you engage or begin any kind of technique or practice, I invite you to just notice how you're feeling. Just notice how the body is. Notice any sensations arising from the field of touch, whatever sounds are in the room around you. the sound of your own breath, sound of my voice, sounds from outside. Even sounds of people coming and going. And I want to invite you to understand that none of the sensations arising in your precious body, including any sound that falls into our open ears, none of these points of contact are a distraction or a problem, something to fix or stop or do away with. And even the way that our mind very naturally kind of grabs onto, even momentarily, the senses, like it hears a sound, and the brain kind of goes, oh, what is that? Oh, it's a car. That's totally fine. Every single thought or feeling or point of sensory contact is arising in the present moment. And each one, therefore, is a gateway into the present moment. This practice invites us into the question, can you meet whatever is arising right now with kindness, with spacious, non-judgmental tenderness? So I invite you to just take a few moments with how the body feels and how the breath feels, whatever's going on in the heart-mind. And then I'll catch up with you in a minute or two. And now, by way of maybe providing some direction, and of course the sound of my voice is just a sound like any other sound in the room. And you are welcome to give it as much or as little attention as you desire. But for those who would like to follow along, I invite you to begin to notice any sensations arising within the field of the sense of touch. For instance, can you feel the clothing you're wearing upon your body? The texture, its relative tightness or looseness, warmth or coolness. Noticing anywhere upon your skin that is touching skin, like fingers and hands, or toes. Perhaps noticing the sensations from the inside of your mouth, lips, teeth, and tongue. Even your eyelids gently closed, touching each other. Or maybe even noticing the sensations of your hair upon your scalp or face or neck. And then maybe moving slightly deeper into your body, like noticing pressure, your feet on the ground, the way gravity holds you to the earth. Powerful planetary energy from the heart, the molten iron heart of this planet, radiating in waves from the center of the earth and holding you to her. And if you pay attention, you can actually feel this pull, this force radiating all through your body. Noticing the pressure from your feet or shins or knees. Noticing the pressure of your body in the backs of your thighs, sit bones, or buttocks, in the chair, bench, cushion, couch. The gentle pressure of your hands in your lap. Even the way your pelvis and spine are mitigating and negotiating the power of gravity, holding you upright. and the sounds radiating from their points of origin, moving through the air, falling into our open ears moment by moment. Light and shadow upon our closed eyelids. Smells in our noses, maybe the incense. Tastes in our mouths. And all of this is happening right now without any need for control or management, without any need to cling to or push away any sensation or phenomena arising. Resting in that most intimate of ways, the Buddha called sati sampajana. Attending to closely, intimately, without judgment or critique. Simply clearly knowing what is arising right now. How is it right now? And all the while the breath is flowing in and flowing out. And all beings that live on this earth that draw breath are breathing the same breath. This deep interpenetration of world and self and other. And just like these sensations in the body, whatever is arising within you, in your heart, mind, can you meet anything at all, everything, with kindness and spacious, intimate acceptance? So I'm going to be quiet for a moment or two and leave you in the tender care of your precious body, breath, heart, and mind. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. May your practice be for the benefit and happiness of you, your family and friends, those around you, and all beings everywhere. May all beings be happy. If you like, you'd be welcome to stay exactly as you are. You'd also be welcome to open your eyes, look around, shake out any limbs that have fallen asleep or are stiff, or even stand up, shake it out. It's easy to get, especially on I don't know about you, but I'm an early to bed, early to rise kind of guy. So this is like bedtime for me, pretty much, pretty close. Well, maybe I can get like a Netflix show and some, rinsing the dishes, but that's about it. So, before we move on to the next piece of the evening, I don't think I mentioned this before, but if you need a blanket or another cushion, especially if maybe you're a smaller person and you want a cushion for your feet while you sit in a chair that can be really comfy, or a cushion for the back of your chair, just there's cushions back there and blankets, or just let one of us know, including me, and we'll take care of it for you, or anybody there, So, just briefly, it seems like there's some folks here that I've never sat with, and I met one of them earlier, but is there anyone in this room that I haven't sat with before? Okay. What's up, yo? Okay. Everybody on Zoom here for the first time? Oh my God, Zuli and Camila, what's up, yo? I thought I saw you earlier waving, but I wasn't 100% sure. Hi, folks on Zoom.
Hi.
What's up? I think most of the folks on Zoom are or probably maybe even some of the folks here might be a little young for this, but if anybody remembers Romper Room, that's literally every time I look at the Zoom screen and I see people and I want to call their names, and it's like I'm just instantly transported to that wonderful woman and her magic mirror looking out into TV land in my living room and saying, of course she never said I see Franz, because maybe you had to send your name in or something.
Probably.
But anyway, so I just know that I'm doing that right now with you guys. I see you out there. And before we begin, we're almost at the half-hour mark, so I also wanted to invite you to Remember, no one here is the meditation police. So if you want to stand up, lay down, scroll Facebook, get some water, get some tea, go to the bathroom, I trust you to take care of yourself. And if I get really relaxed and quiet and you actually want to hear what I have to say, just say it louder. I want to be the first time. And yeah, or if you need to refill your tea. So I guess my next thing is, before we go into this next section, which is a little bit long, maybe like another half hour, would you guys want to take like a couple minute break and maybe hit the bathroom and get some tea, or are we good? Yeah, might as well. I mean, yeah. So maybe take a minute and or two and. No, this is totally adorable. Come on. It's just so cute. I can't take it. I love it. Oh no, Cletus is the opposite. She's like, oh my god, hard. Yeah. Different strokes, I guess.
Don't get me wrong, we like each other. It's just
Kids.
it doesn't know what we need to like each other. We're lucky.
That's our third, nice. That's our third pot getting made right now. That's how you know you're doing a good job. 3 pots of tea. Oh yeah. That's great. Yeah, I have one of those lemon cookies. Wow. Wow. Oh, hey, I appreciate it, especially for the full moon. That's very apropos. Good job, dude. Okay. Get ready to start back up. Okay, there's still a few people out, but I'll just start slowly ramping up, which is, I feel like I should have an outfit disclaimer, which is that I don't think I've ever worn this sitting up here for Long Beach meditation. My usual, if you come on a Monday, you may be disappointed. My usual uniform is a slightly nicer graphic t-shirt and shorts. That's basically what I live in, unless it's under 65 degrees. But I just couldn't resist because in Mahayana Buddhist countries, the first full moon of the year is considered the New Year's. Traditionally begins on the first full moon of January, and it's in many cultures, in many traditions, the New Year is like your opportunity to really just set the course for the coming year. It's an opportunity to look at what's come. It's an invitation to see deeply into and learn from the blessings and trials of our precious human life. And to bring our deepest commitment. I don't know if anyone's ever told you this, but this is your one precious, or to quote the Blessed Mary Oliver, this is your one wild and precious life. This is it, y'all. Like the Buddha said in the Kalama Sutta, if there is a life after this one, then living a life of kindness, wisdom, and insight will grant a good rebirth. And if there isn't, then you will pass your days with a happy heart. So regardless, this is our opportunity to set the course, not just for a year, but for a life of kindness, wisdom, and insight. Of growing and cultivating those wholesome heart states and qualities, loving kindness, compassion, joy at the joy of others, equanimity, patience, generosity, that are the mark of a truly noble person, and that are not only a blessing to those around us, but are a blessing to us. This is the kind of genius of the old man. He determined that if you are a real hedonist, if you really want pleasure and happiness, then you will be kind. You will cultivate the joy of kindness and compassion, because that's what is really pleasing to the heart and makes life sublime. So, now on the subject of intention. So, you may know this, the Buddha had this way of kind of formulating a life as a path. He called it the Ashtanga Ariyamagga. This is the Noble Eightfold Path. And he basically identified these 8 parts of life. And he had the idea that if you, on purpose, with intention, lived these 8 parts of being human, you would very naturally grow in these positive qualities and very easily attain the mind of awakening, total human freedom. Freedom from what? Clinging, aversion, and confusion. And in this schema, in this kind of map this diagram, wise intention or wise resolve is the second of these noble parts. I would propose to you, however, that wise intention or wise resolve, and this is not just my point of view, this is something that many teachers have said, is actually maybe the most important. You know, if someone's dedicated to doing something, come hell or high water, they will do it. That kind of fire in your heart. It's amazing what humans can do for good and for evil when they set their mind to it. Imagine, if you will, our lives as a great and mysterious journey. Moments, minutes, and days go by. Sometimes we don't even know where. Have you ever driven somewhere and you don't remember the drive at all? Lessons are noticed, learned, and sometimes forgotten. Children grow up, friends and loved ones grow older and sometimes pass from our sight, or let's say, eventually will always pass from our sight if we don't first. So the question becomes, how can we know that we are traveling where we want to go? How do we keep our footsteps? And our footsteps on the path of our life, this journey, are our thoughts, words, and deeds. Our whole life is made up of our thoughts, words, and deeds. And is our footsteps, is this way of living aligned with our highest values and our deepest commitments? Sun, moon, and stars, landmarks, advice from other people, maps, and nowadays GPS are how we navigate in the world around us. But how should we navigate the internal world? And if you're anything like me, the internal world is far more mysterious, wild, woolly, and strange than the external world. Wise intention is the meeting place between our view and how we interact with the world around us. It's like we look at the world, that's our view, and then from that we form our intention, our volition, our resolve. I want to do this, I don't want to do that. And then we enact participation with the world around us and the people around us. Briefly, in this kind of grab bag of points about intention, it's significant to me that the Buddha equated karma, I'm sure you've heard this word, and in popular culture it's like, oh, if I don't know, give somebody $1, I'll get $1 in a week or whatever. And of course, we can all probably assume that's not how that works. The Buddha actually associated or implicated or equated karma with intention. And this was very different from the religious background that the Buddha came from. In Brahminical Hinduism, karma is associated, good karma and bad karma is associated with very particular acts, deeds, objects, such that even things have their own karma. Like, if you were to, for instance, accidentally touch a dead body, and this is, you can imagine in India of 2,600 years ago, this was bound to happen, or even the dead body of an animal, accidentally. Still, you bore the negative karma, the impurifying karma of touching a dead body, and you have to perform an elaborate purification rite. Or if you accidentally stepped on a bud, or accidentally even did a good thing. But for the Buddha, intention is karma. Because intention is formed in the deepest recesses, the deep water of our heart and mind. I will do this, I will do that, I want this, I don't want that, and now I will enact this in the world. It creates these incredible ripples in our own being and in the world around us and in people around us. Each one of us can affect those around us so powerfully. This is why great people and even terrible people leave such a mark. Someone like Mr. Rogers or the Bishop Desmond Tutu or Thich Nhat Hanh, some great being leaves, and they leave this wake of goodness and kindness behind them. And alternately, people who do harm, do evil, enact cruelty, leave suffering behind them, and change the world for the worst even after they're leaving. So the Buddha asks you to take responsibility for your karma, for your actions. He says, quote, I am the owner of my actions. I am heir to my actions. I am born of my actions. I am related through my actions and have my actions as my arbitrator and defender. Whatever I do for good or for evil, that will be the quality of my heart, and to that I will fall heir. There's so much in life that we can't choose. Things just happen. You stumble, you hurt yourself, you have a business reversal, someone in your family passes, you pass. The only thing you can really put your hands on is how you respond to what happens to you, how you choose to show up in this world, how you intend to act. Couple more points. How powerful habit is. If you're anything like me, and this is actually kind of a brilliant part of the human brain, we do things by rote. You don't have to every single time you unlock the door to your house. You don't have to rethink it through every single time. You just do it while you're looking at the mail, while you're looking at the phone, while you're talking to a neighbor. You don't have to think about it. That's wonderful. That's brilliant. It's great for survival. It's great for ease. But habit works that way, and it works in every way. For instance, those patterns of thoughts, words, and deeds that we repeat over and over again, they become our habitual, compulsive way that we are, to ourselves, to the people around us, and in the world. It's like making a groove in our brain over and over again. And of course, neuroscientists say what fires together wires together. Our habitual responses to what arises in our heart and in our life form these patterns of habit energy so deep that before you know it, there's no other way that you could have ever possibly thought to do this thing. I mean, tell me that's happened to you. I know it's happened to me, where it would never occur to me to laugh when someone calls me a knucklehead or to smile when someone scowls at me. It wouldn't even make sense. But actually, you are at all times completely free to respond to anything arising in your life. Your heart is always free. You can always choose a different way. It's hard because habit energy is so powerful. One of the reasons why habit energy is so powerful is because it's running in the dark, behind the scenes. It's just running, and we're just doing. I was actually noticing today, driving here, on my way to the full moon, to an intention setting ritual. I was going to spend my time with you guys. I'm so grateful to do it. And I was driving here, and somebody was going about 11 miles an hour down Livingston, and I was in a bit of a rush. I was going speed limit. Well, I was going 11 because I was behind this person. And then they were kind of like they were looking for parking, they weren't sure what they wanted to do. And then, without throwing a blinker on, they started to turn into this driveway. Long story short, they wanted to make a U-turn. And not me or the 4 people behind me or the 2 people coming this way knew it. None of us knew about it except this guy. And he instantly figured out what had happened, and we're all like, freaking out, like, we're just trying to not crash. And he's like, oh, sorry, and the look I gave him, and I probably mouthed something like, and I just, it's not, I didn't, scream at him, I didn't flip him off, but like, he obviously was lost and thought, maybe lost where he's going, who knows. And I could have acted any number of ways, but before I knew it, and I just looked him right in the eye, and I was like, I could have had any number of wholesome, kind interactions with this person. That's maybe my only interaction with that person from life to death. That's it. That's all he knows about me, and that's all I know about him. We're done. So, this habit energy runs things in the dark. We don't notice we're doing it. This is such a big part of the meditation practice. In fact, one of the primary names for the kind of meditation we do here is vipassana. And vipassana, break the word apart. V means deeply or penetratingly or profoundly or over, and passana means to see into. So we are trying to see into this, in the present moment, what is arising, what is here, and what we find we meet with kindness. So that is the kind of master tool that the Buddha has given us. This vipassana, this seeing deeply into what is arising and meeting it with kindness. Second from the last point, I wanted to mention that on this subject of seeing or knowing, so the word that we translate into English from Pali, that we translate as mindfulness, is the word sati. And sati, just like, words have roots, right? You can kind of travel back to see what the origin of the word is. Sati has a root in the word smrti, which means to remember. And that word is so interesting, remember. You think of like when someone if I were to get dismembered, I'd come apart, and to remember, to come back together. And even just, what am I doing right now? Am I mouthing curse words at a stranger because he's driving too slow and driving wrong and I don't like it? What am I doing? What am I doing right now? Is my life and the way I'm conducting my life in accordance with my highest values? It's like, wake up, remember, remember, remember. All of this is why again and again we try to reconnect with our intentions. I mentioned it up here on Monday nights when we sit, say something like, hey, maybe when you sit, you could connect to, attend to your deepest values when you sit. What are you sitting for? What are you doing? Maybe this could be an expression of love. Maybe this could be an act of devotion. Maybe this could be a way of expressing the profound beauty that is you. Maybe you sit for the benefit of all beings, this beautiful altruistic vision. Even just for one breath, waking up, coming to ground, remembering what you're doing and why. I invite you to make sure that in the coming year that your thoughts, words, and deeds align with your most deeply held and highest motivation and aspiration. And this is the purpose of our gathering together tonight under the full moon, in this room, in this practice, in this body, in this moment. Thank you for your kind attention to my many, many words. There was a lot that I wanted to talk about, and I appreciate your patience. I invite you to stretch and shake if you like, and eventually come to your sitting posture. Now, Travis, would it be possible for you to slightly drop the lights? Like, safe enough for people to move. So the next section is kind of like a guided meditation, but it's like an inquiry. And this is actually, interestingly, this is, I feel like nowadays there's kind of this weird bias about guided meditations. Like when people say, oh, you like to meditate? I'm like, yeah, do you? And they're like, well, I have an app, I do guided meditations, like that's a bad thing. Like, real meditators sit for an hour in a silent room facing a wall or whatever. It's like, but historically, that's actually how the Buddha and the students of the Buddha would do it. The Buddha would offer them thought experiments, basically. He would say, think on this, reflect thus, contemplate this. So this is a kind of a guided inquiry. And if there's anything in it that you do not care, and this actually goes globally for anything that comes out of this mouth, there's something you don't like, leave it where it lies. Maybe it's not for you. If it doesn't serve you, I don't want you to take it with you. Anything I say is in service to you. That's my goal. That's my intention for tonight and for my life, is to be of some small service. So if there's a question that you feel is, makes you uncomfortable or is prodding or probing, just sit. And I'd probably make it sound a lot scarier than it is, but I was reading through this and kind of putting it together with some other sources, and it's like, it's a little personal. So, but you don't have to compare notes. So at the end of this, I'm just going to say this now, at the end of this kind of guided inquiry, hopefully you will have some kind of intention that you have kind of coalesced around. And the wonderful thing about being a human is tomorrow morning, or actually the second you walk out of here, you can say, actually, that's not my real intention at all. And you can actually get more clarity on it and change your mind. So even just the idea of having an intention, let this inquiry be service of that. And at the end of this little thing we're going to do, I want to invite you one more time to come up And with full mindfulness, grab a candle, set it on the tray, and then take your seat again. And if you are moved to, at the end, after everyone who's done it, after everyone who wants to has done it, if you are moved, I would invite you to talk about your intention, or even just say your intention out loud. And if that's too personal, I totally get it. It's very common to sit in a meditation hall with someone for 2, 5, 10, or 20 years and not get to know them very well, and that's fine. This is a wonderful place where there's no kind of compulsory team building talking. You can just come and have your space, and that's fine. But I also want to invite you to share afterward. First, I'm going to give the old man his light. Okay. So as always, first I invite you to just sit and breathe and just take some rest. Now, if it's comfortable for you, and please don't hyperventilate, but I invite you to take a deep breath and see if you can imagine the whole trunk of your body like a big clay jar or a big vessel. And the air is pouring into your body and filling up your abdomen, your lower abdomen first, and filling you all the way up. So taking a big deep breath and letting your belly get nice and expanded. And exhaling after you fill your lungs completely. And if you get a little lightheaded, just let the breath do what it wants to do. Then after you've breathed deep, just let the breath do what it needs. And at some point, whenever it makes sense for you, on the out breath, I invite you to ask yourself, what is my deepest intention for the year? And just see what comes up. I feel moved to remind you that the questions are always more important than the answers. And the answer could come in a picture, or a word, or a sentence, or even just a feeling. These are all fine. And if nothing comes, that's fine too. You can let the question rattle around inside you, doing its holy work. What is my deepest intention? And if you find one, or if one presents itself to you, just hold it in your heart and notice how it feels in the body. That's the wonderful thing about the body. It never lies. It's always right now. Now I want to invite you, at a time of your choosing, to ask a follow-up. The follow-up question for yourself is there a change I desire in my life that would serve this deepest intention? Or even just a change that you desire in your life, independent of any intention? What would that feel like, that change that you desire, if it happened? How does it feel in your body, in your heart? Is it scary or exhilarating? Anyway, what is there a change I desire in my life, either to serve this deepest intention or just on its own? And I invite you to breathe around this question, see how it feels. The next follow-up. What is the relationship between my intention or the thing I want to change in my life to long-term happiness for myself and for others? And again, remember the questions are often more important than the answers. Let the question do its deep work, even without an answer. The next question. Are there any motivations that I have or patterns emotions that are blocking my deepest intentions from being fulfilled, or that are blocking me from making this change. And if there's pain there, if there's heartache or some discomfort, I invite you to meet it with compassion. Your precious heart is safe to meet your life. And finally, I invite you to kind of circle back to the original question. What is my deepest intention for this coming year? What is my North Star? And again, maybe it's an image in your mind, or a feeling, or a word, or a phrase, and it doesn't even have to make sense to anyone in this whole world. Now, Travis, if you would be so kind, the rest of the candles are next to the couch with all my stuff. Thank you. I think I have just enough. So, when Travis comes back with the rest of the candles, I want to invite you, one at a time for safety, to come up and this is one of these interesting things, you know, the Buddha was the least esoteric religious leader of all time. His special, magical, esoteric things were things like sitting and walking and breathing. Very simple. So, but how a person does one thing very often reflects how they do everything. So I invite you, and maybe it feels a little bit silly, and that's fine too. We don't have a lot of reverent, kind of worshipful activities in our life, in our society. We're very casual. But I invite you, like a dance or like an embrace, to, with full awareness, take a candle and the lighter and light it and place it on the tray. And if you have trouble negotiating the lighter, let me know. If you need any help, and you can start at your leisure. The lighting of the candle is the symbol of the fire of your intention. think the thumb part goes first. Thank you, Travis. So, like, there you go. Yeah, that's it. We need to get a softer trigger. So I think the thumb part goes first and push forward and then the trigger. And I'm happy to do it if it's too stiff. So I'm gonna lay it and I'm gonna hand it to you. Or I can do it that way too. That was good. There you go. Feel free to, yeah, just nudge him. He doesn't care. So if everyone who has offered a candle has offered, if anyone feels moved, you'd be welcome to share it. And the thumb, there you go. Oh yeah, there's room for you. Absolutely. Nicely done. So if everyone has offered, and even if not, you'd be welcome to come up if you change your mind in a couple of minutes, that's fine. Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you. Travis, you know who would let me know. Wait, you didn't take a picture of that beautiful? Yeah, my darling wife, she was like, why wouldn't you take a beautiful picture of that? All right. So thank you kindly. Please, you can just send it straight to her, actually. But if anybody feels moved to, I just want to make sure you understand that this place is a place of this place, this practice, this moment is a place of support, of kindness, of compassion. And alternately, if you simply want to hold it in your heart, that's fine too. And in the end, holding it in your heart and living it in your life is sharing it with the whole world. So to close this piece, it's totally, please guys, it's totally fine. If your ringer goes off in class, nobody's gonna, it's totally fine. I was gonna say, to close this portion of the evening, I invite you to repeat some simple words after me. And I think it's great.
I just want to picture
I totally. I just remember the old man's instructions were not to look at the present moment only if it's exactly how you want it to be. It's right now it's like this. So I invite you to repeat these simple words after me. May my intention, its birth and growth, its change and fruition, be for my benefit and happiness, and the benefit and happiness
and the benefit and happiness
of all beings.
of all beings.
I invite you to take a couple moments and just sit, feeling your intention in your body, in your heart. And finally, I want to invite you to understand that it's easy to turn an aspiration into a way to measure ourselves against our ideals. It's easy to turn an aspiration from a guidepost, from a North Star, from a horizon, into a measuring stick. Softly, softly, softly is the way. More gentle, more kind, not less. No one in the history of the world has ever made themselves better by hating themselves. So if your aspiration, if your goal, if your intention causes you suffering, becomes a stick to beat yourself with, aversion has come in. Self-loathing has come in and taken charge. So your aspiration should be a source of joy. It should be a guiding principle, a star in a dark night. So just always more gentle, more kind. Loving kindness and compassion are your sure guides on the way to your aspiration. And even the difference between an aspiration and a goal, like a goal being like, I don't know, I'm going to learn Spanish before the end of the year. That's measurable, it's short term, it's there or not there. What do I need to do to get there? But an aspiration and intention the power to change an entire life. And that's lived day by day, moment by moment. So just be gentle with yourselves, please. Okay, I promised there would be food. So, Travis, are you available to yeah. So, two things. There are grapes here, red grapes. They may have little tiny small seeds, but they're quite delicious. Travis, you can attest.
I haven't had any, but sure. I tried the cookies, those are good.
What kind of assistant are you that like pre-tasted?
The cookies are poison free.
Good to know. And these are triple ginger snaps. They have little bits of candied ginger in them. I'm sorry I didn't have any gluten-free cookies. I know, Trevor, I know. But
So we can take a little each? Or?
well, you can, yeah. As long as everybody gets some, you can take as many. Yeah, they're in little pre-cut little nuggets. So please feel free to take both. I think there's plenty of both.
Are the grapes gluten free or are they
The grapes are neither gluten-free nor organic. In fact, I washed them in the hose out back. Yikes, sorry.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And if there's after everybody gets some, if there's more, please help yourselves. I'm hoping that all the cookies go, because if they go home with me. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that sounds great, actually.
Somebody showing you their dessert?
Well, some people don't have ginger snaps. Some people have pizza. Some people have, I'm sure somebody's got some chicken nuggies in there somewhere. So, yeah, there was pizza in the freezer at home, and I was like, "You guys are good. You got food." And then, of course, my kids, they're like, "Well, what kind of pizza is in the freezer?" I was like, "You'll just have to find out." Like I would get them any other kind than the kind they love. That's silly. Oh, and so if you have already eaten all your stuff, that's fine. Travis can swing around again. Just make sure you have enough, because, if you've sat full moons with me, you know how annoying this is, but you know how Buddhist teachers are. Everything's a lesson, even eating. So there's a set of 5 recollections that we're gonna do as a guided food thingy in a minute.